Let's test the Darkspeed drivers from Cobra. 3 heads, as always from Cobra. They've stuck with that 3-head design for a while. Let's see who would game them, the cost of them. Are they any good? Are they going to produce the numbers you want to hit the longer, straighter drives? We'll look at the tech. Let's get stuck in. Very stealth looking, which I really like. They're kind of this matte finish, and the contrast of the face and the head is minimal, which is rare. We get the LS appears smaller than the Max in a nice spot, and it is the X, in a nice spot, and the Max looking bigger and definitely more jaw bias, a little bit straighter in the toe. Hints of the carbon coming out through the top. It's this contrast between face and top of head is very slim. The neck is quite neutral as well, not big and chunky. Like, it looks great. They all look really nice. So what do they feel like? This is the X, so in effect the standard, and I'm expecting a carbony sound. Yeah, which I'm getting. Nice, solid feel, like they feel really quite responsive, but it is that carbony, duller sound. Max very much feels the same, feels exactly the same. LS as well, maybe even slightly duller, but the LS is going to be a bomber, isn't it? It's going to be, Cobra's often their LS is a low spin option. That's a 1.9 spin, look how far that's gone. Anything low spinning on my launch monitor is slightly over exaggerated, so the LS's often come out as just crazy distance. So the low spin, they definitely, the low spin feels very close to the other two, maybe even duller than the other two. And I don't mean dull in a bad way, you know, in that kind of where we are at the minute where everyone's saying carbon is the kind of saviour of golf. So looking super slick, very Batman-esque. Cobra always make great looking clubs, I think. The LS is just, it's a rocket launcher for people with speed. Like, it looks pimple, small, stealthy in not only its colours but its kind of shaping. Like, you're just going to get absolute bomb flat balls out of this. We'll have a little bit of fun with the numbers as well. We'll push how far we can get this on the low spin model, because that is that was 2-1 and that should have been a high spinning shot. The LS, you see 3 weight ports at the bottom. You see, is it 3? Yeah, 3, a fade, a neutral, and then a high, so you can move them kind of heel, toe, and back. The X, you see kind of more centralized, and then in the Max, you see it 2 weights, 1 in the heel, 1 in the back. We'll do the tech. They look and sound very, very nice. The Max definitely comes out and looks that little bit bigger, and I do like the way the X sits in a nice sweet spot. The X sits neutral. It's a mixture of, like, when you've picked up the LS it looks bigger, but when you pick up the Max it looks more refined, and it's that nice combination of looks and feels. Yeah, solid, good looking clubs. So all 3 heads have very similar tech, then with some little nuances that give you the performance of the 3. So all 3 featured refined aerodynamics, trying to help you keep your club head speed as high as possible. All 3 have the PowerShell L-Cup face and the AI Hot face, consistent ball speeds, more ball speed across different parts of the face. All 3 feature the power bridge. It's an internal weight move forward to try and increase ball speeds again, so you can see it's all about speed, Darkspeed obviously. The Max Draw has the adjustable back and heel weight to give it that more of a leftward bias if you're a neutral player. The X has changeable front and back weight, so you can dial in lower spin or more MOI if you push that weight back. And then the LS has the weight pushed a little bit more forward because it's that lower spinning model. So very similar techs in all 3, just those nuances on how they're positioning the weight and setting up the club, all built around speed, all built around ball speed and consistency of, as always, packed with plenty of tech. So remember, we've got the little game at the end to see which one of these clubs I can push to the max, but the numbers from the baseline test were really good. The draw bias definitely had more of a draw bias, which you would expect. The X was pretty standard, sitting in that 2,200 to 2,400 range, which is exactly where I want it to sit when fit for me. The LS, as always, quite low spinning. Like the Cobra drivers, the low spin models are slightly more aggressive on the low spin, where other companies have kind of almost blended them. They're hard to see, the low spin model. I think the Cobra's just pushed that a little bit lower, which I think is good, giving more options to golfers. So in the Max draw, I saw it around 200 revs, a bit more than the X, and then in the LS, it was nearly 300 spin average lower than the X, getting into the 1.9s, averaging around 2,000, which is still gameable, but it's the low side for me. Higher ball speed players, people who create more spin, the LS might be a good option. And the distances and the ball speed were good. Good average ball speed, very healthy distances, right there in the pack, and arguably near the top end of the pack. But Cobra have been there for a while, and people don't seem to care because you're so easily marketed at, I think, that these performances doesn't always shine through. There's so many other aspects that make you feel what is a good or bad driver. If we're looking at the numbers of these drivers, they're as good as anything. When it comes to the price, I find the Cobras fascinating. I think it's almost a lesson for anyone studying marketing in the golfing space, because the price is good. Your price is coming up, hopefully, for UK and America here. Like, they're cheaper than the bigger named brands, the more advertised at you brands, yet the performance and the amount of heads, and arguably the brand name and the technology is up there with anyone. It fascinates me every year how Cobra don't sell more drivers, apart from, again, it's a classic example of marketing in golf rather than maybe just performance. The prices on these products for what you get, the innovation, the look, the brand, God, it's up there with the best of them. So let's show you what these Cobras can do. I'm going to show you the LS here, and this is something you need to bear in mind when you're fitting. So I'm going to go for it. It's the end of my fitting. I want to confirm that the LS is the one, and I'm warmed up and I'm going to go for it. So we're hitting on down an actual fairway with water up the left. Let's show you what this club can do if I strike it, which I haven't there. So look at the deviation on that one. With a standard driver, see how that kind of curved a bit off to the right? That would have turned a bit left. Low spin, when I miss hit, they tend to swerve off to the right. Ball speed 157, and the spin on that was 2.2. So that's low spin for that quality of strike, because remember, this is the LS, so we're going to see, well, I'll show you what we'll see. If I can actually hit a drive. Too many mince pies. There you go, that's a button, so much more out the middle, down the middle. Look at the difference in carry. Like, that's going to just go and go, get comfortably over the 300. 164 ball, 2-1 spin, 311 total. That's basically selling me this club. That's like, yeah, I want this club, because that's a max out for where I am today as we stand here. And again, a miss hit. Woo, look at it going. I mean, my miss hits with a more 2.2 to 2.5 spinning club just are not doing that. They're going to stay way straight. They don't have this veer off to the right. And this is where I think it's so key for all this. It's not a take on Cobra. This is all of them. It's just because they have quite a low spin one. I think this shows it up better than others. It's so easy to get seduced by your longest shot. So I've never hit one that long. This club has potential. Well, you do need to look at a bit more of a batch. Again, that's a pretty good hit for today. Like, dead straight, and I feel like I could do that over and over again, but when I take these clubs out and play, I just realise that I don't. I mean, again, I'm just seduced by that 317, 164 ball, 1.9 spin. They're my max numbers. It's just my bad shots when they're bad, and we all hit them. They're too offline. They're too crazy. They're a bit uncontrollable. Where the X, it's going to give me a little bit of a turn, which, so on this hole, like the X, the low spin is perfect, because obviously that can happen. But the X being at 2.3, even though the ball speed's down at like 163, obviously on any other hole that's in the left semi-rough, I just feel it's going to be way more repeatable. They are solid. They perform great. It's interesting how little people buy Cobra drivers. I mean, the last model was one of my favourite drivers of the year. I think all the models are really good. Great for low spin. Okay for a draw one, and the X is a great standard for many golfers. If you want to learn how to get the most out of your driver, without butchering the spin like you do with the LS, check this video out because it's helping people hit way longer drives.